All right, welcome back. We are now discussing the closing process. At this point, you went through the pre-qualification, rinsed out your needs and your wants, and figured out, what your budget is. We've looked at homes, made an offer, gone through the inspection process, and now we're leading up to all that hard work is over and you're just waiting to get the keys. And I tell you what, that is sometimes when all the quiet kind of comes in, because you're waiting on your lender to do the behind the scenes underwriting and the work on the loan, and title is now working completely on securing the transfer and the clean title and everything that you need to be able to grab those keys and walk in. This is the part where it's like, are we okay? Is everything okay? I don't hear anything. What's going on? And this is where you get to kind of take a little bit of a, and I'm gonna let Danny talk a little bit about the underwriting, the back end shop on his side. But there's one thing I just want to be able to iterate really quick. Whatever you do, guys, whenever you're under contract, please do not get new credit cards, do not buy a boat, a car, do not do anything out of the ordinary. I have a little saying here, and it is status quo is the way to go. Keep the status quo, that's the way to go. Do not make any adjustments, any changes, because believe it or not, I've had people lose the opportunity to purchase a home because they went out and bought gallery furniture to fill the home, and that was just enough to mess up their numbers. So I'll let Danny take it from here and kind of walk you through the behind the scenes closing process.
So as you get to closing, keep in mind, once a mortgage company gets a contract, once they get your purchase contract, typically it takes about 30 days to get to the closing ceremony. During that time, the house is appraised. Is the property worth what you're buying it for? Does the potential home buyer, do you work where you say you work? Do you have in the bank what you say you have in the bank? All of the underwriting is done. Title of the home is checked. Are there outstanding liens? Is this a home that they can properly title in your name with nobody else having a claim to it? All of that is done during that 30-day window. So the one thing that I would say as that closing date is set, don't paint yourself into a corner that you cannot get out of. Do not schedule renovations on the home of the afternoon following a morning close. And now you've got painters sitting out on the driveway and you haven't closed on the home yet. So give yourself a few days leeway. Don't paint yourself into a corner that you can't get yourself out of. Now, you've gotten to the closing table. If done properly, if you're working with a mortgage lender that has communicated the process, there shouldn't be any surprises. You should understand what the monthly payment would be, how much money you're actually going to have to bring to close the deal on the day of closing. Closing is ceremonial. At this point, everything should have been understood and explained and laid out for you. But keep in mind, you don't own the house until everything is signed. So bring a pen, bring plenty of ink, exercise your elbow, because you're going to sign about 100 things to get this deal done, but it is not done until everything is signed.
And with that, leading up to the closing, they might have requests for, other documentation. He talked about an employer. There might need something from the HR department, some type of form letter or what have you. So be sure you turn those things around very quickly.
But although this is ceremonial, once you get to the closing table, everything should lay out that day. Funds should be in place. Everybody should be paid on that day. Once it's set and your mortgage lender says, okay, we're good to go, we're clear, let's schedule a closing time, we're going to do it on X date, then you should expect that day is when you're closing, that day is when you will pay your money, that day is when you will get your keys, take ownership of your new home.
Wow. To go through all of this, guys, from being where you are today and going into the future, working very hard, saving up money, working on your credit, going through all these steps to be able to get to that day where you get those keys in your hands, that is one of the American dream. And I know how I felt when I first bought my property, and most of my life I lived in apartments or home, like lease homes, but they weren't my home. And the impact, the wonderfulness of being able to know that this is yours, that is something that nobody can take away from you. And the fact that you're going through this process, I commend you on that. So don't let all this hard work take you out, because honestly, it's really not that hard. It's just changing a few habits into better habits. And before you know it, you'll be there. And if you ever need any coaches, any people, mentors on the sideline to cheer you on, Danny and I will be that for you if you like. All right, so the next video that we're going to be going into, guys, is going to be talking about the whole moving and all those aspects. Then we have one more video after that, and we'll wrap things up. All right, to the next one.